The holy city of Jerusalem has a special role in the world. 3,500 years ago, when the people of Israel came to the land of Israel, and each of the 12 tribes received a piece of land, Jerusalem was not divided to tribes. It became the holy city, a city that belongs to all, Jews and non-Jews alike. At the time there were no Christians, there were no Muslims. Jews and non-Jews alike came to worship their faith and respected the different from them. Jerusalem is a city that has huge potential. It is a city that was never and must never be divided. It has to be united. It has to unite people around common themes. It has to be open and free for different people to practice their religion. Freedom of religion, freedom of movement, open international city, the way we're practicing it today. And my vision is to continue expanding and opening the city for the benefit of the world to enjoy. Things that are successful in Jerusalem, because of such a diverse population, are scalable to the rest of the world. And so the role and the vision for me for the city of Jerusalem is to show how different constituencies and different sectors and different religions can work side by side, openly, the way we are today, and actually we could actually take it to the next level and make it even better. We're 800,000 people strong. Natural growth will get us to 1 million people strong within 25 plus minus years. We have to take into account scaling of the business side. We're building new business districts. We're doubling the number of hotels from 10,000 to 20,000 within the next decade or so. We have to build 50,000 apartments for the 200,000 people that will join the city of Jerusalem. And what we're doing is we have in the master plan of the city, we've allocated where we're going to go higher, where we're going to go wider, for all the sectors. A third of the buildings that we anticipate the Arabs to scale into, 2/3 we anticipate the Jews to scale into, because that's a natural growth. These are the proportions of the city. And so in our master plan, we are planning the scaling of the city naturally. We want to, if you don't plan it, it's going to happen unnaturally and wrong. If you do plan it wisely, it's going to happen in a prudent and smart way. So you take all those considerations in one master plan and slowly but gradually derive our specific plans from the master plan, and the understanding that Jerusalem has to scale to the opportunity and to its future. Well, I think thank God, what we see today is Jerusalem is enjoying quite rapid economic growth. While the world is still stuttering, and the different economies, it may be Europe and North America, are stuttering, Israel's economy has been growing at about 4.5% from year to year, and Jerusalem's economy at a rate of 8% from year to year. You see many cranes in the air. You see doubling the amount of tourists that come to Jerusalem. 4 times more cultural events we have today than 4 years ago. And in many, many ways, Jerusalem has become a very bullish atmosphere, very successful trend, positive trend in our economy, and it affects all the different sectors of the city of Jerusalem. Thank God. So when I look at the last 4 years, I believe that if we continue the current trends that we have of economic growth, we're going to have even a better future. Well, the city, everywhere we put a shovel in the ground, there are roots and history, layers upon layers of history. On the one hand, we know, and we've got to be very cautious to preserve and sometimes to restructure according to the past. And side by side to that, we're also building a new city. The challenge of maintaining old and new is an amazing challenge. We usually work slower than average other cities. There are areas that we have to, preservation is very strict. There are areas that we're much more flexible in building new things. We have to use lots of judgment and lots of knowledge on the different layers in history in order to build the city wisely. And I think there's lots of sensitivity inside the municipal government and between the archaeologists on how to develop Jerusalem and preserve and enable all the different historical and religious sites to develop with the city and not on the account of them you develop a new city. It's secondary to the strategy. The strategy, you mustn't compromise the strategy. In building the right city, take all the sensitivities into consideration. See, as mayor, I'm most familiar with the city, to represent it and to develop it. I've got mandate from the public to do so. The challenge is that sometimes the world doesn't understand how the city works. So here comes explaining to people what the right thing to do. But diplomacy is secondary to doing the right thing. You mustn't do the wrong thing because of the diplomacy. You must do the right thing and use diplomacy hopefully sometimes to explain, and even if it doesn't work, continue doing the right things. So it's always secondary to being honest and fair with the city. Do what's right for the city. Diplomacy is second. Since I came to change, to create positive momentum in the city, I believe the entrepreneurial experiences I have as an entrepreneur and then as a venture capitalist are extremely relevant to creating change in the city of Jerusalem. First thing I've done, and I'm here at Harvard, I'm going to be meeting later today with Professor Michael Porter and deploying Professor Michael Porter's competitive theories into practice in Jerusalem. Maybe because of my experience, has become very relevant and very, very successful implementation in the city of Jerusalem. It's understanding markets, where we want to scale into, culture, tourism, health, life sciences, and a few other economic drivers that we're aggressively pursuing in the city of Jerusalem. So the first point I'd say it's understanding markets, maybe venture capital skills as well in terms of betting on right young leadership to lead all kinds of initiatives in the city, and to innovate and to create new ideas aligned with the strategy. And last but not least, it's basic management skills, to focus people to take accountability, to measurability, planning process, more prudent planning processes like in the private sector. All these, I think they're all relevant to better managing a city like Jerusalem. It is continuing to attract the private sector. See, the challenge is to make Jerusalem bullish and eager for business and convince the private sector to make the major macro investments. We have today strong backwind from the government. Netanyahu's government is a strong supporter with tax incentives and significant capital that is invested in Jerusalem aligned with the strategy and the vision that we have. So I think we've seen a very big shift in national government spending investments in Jerusalem in the last few years. The philanthropy world is ramping up very nicely and aligning interest with private-public partnerships in Jerusalem, and I'm very happy with that. And we also see the private sector starting to invest big sums of capital once they see the future of the city and they see that Jerusalem is indeed very bullish. So what we really need to do is continue that trend. And from year to year, growing 8% is a major challenge, and I believe we're in the right track to fulfill those numbers. The philosophy I've learned is very effective is watch one, join one, do one. At an early age, like in the Kennedy School, you're watching different constituencies, learning the different models. The next phase is join one. Get in, see how it's done from inside. It's a big difference when you see how a city is managed or whatever you want to do in life. Join it. And once you are there, part of the team, once you gather that experience, then go do one. And that philosophy is, in my mind, will get you fastest to be a major contributor to whatever it is you want to change. So my recommendation is, when you finish watching, join one.